I will continue. Actually, we were talking about that we are having too many systems, too many quality systems, but I was talking about the lean production system. And in addition to the lean production system, we were talking about the GMP. Of course, from the regulatory point of view, GMP is the basic principle and the basic issue for inspection. So any kind of inspection, evaluation to the manufacturing site is based on the GMP requirements and the GMP guidelines. GMP guidelines is like the law, so they have to apply and ask for the implementation of this law. Now, the pharmaceutical industry, it's facing really some new issues. Those issues, they came from the manufacturing part of it. So, for example, as numbers, if we look to the potential cost saving from efficiency in the production cycle, it's what reach up to $90 billion per year. So, production cycle, manufacturing part of it, if we look deep inside, we can save money. And the second one is that the manufacturing, it accounts for around 36% of the total cost of production. And if we look deep, that if we are able to remove the non-value adding cost and waste inside the manufacturing, then we will be saving a lot of money. Maybe non-value adding might reach up to 80% of the process, and 50% of the process, it might comes from the waste. So, if we look to the reject percentage in the pharmaceutical industry, the reject percentage per se, it's simple. I mean, if you look at it as a percentage, it's just around 5% of the reject, 5% of the production all over the year. 5% means around less than 2 sigma. And less than 2 sigma, which means that even in the pharmaceutical production area, we are still behind and we are still lagging behind the other industries, like, for example, the semiconductor industry. So this is, I hope, that as introduction to raise awareness about how we can benefit from the manufacturing cycle and how we can save money if we go deep inside the manufacturing cycle. This was the basic idea. Then they came and said, this doesn't coordinate, it doesn't cope with the requirements for the GMP. The GMP requirements are quite different from saving money from the production cycle. So from that point of view, I'm using this table, which I will not detail, but I will say it in a brief that actually the GMP system is totally, or it goes in a way totally different from the way at which the lean production system goes. But how we can make both approaches help each other, or how we can implement both approaches inside the manufacturing site in order to save money, to get more profit, to minimize waste, and also to comply with the regulatory authorities like Dr. Bernd and others of the inspectors. So from this point of view, there are some 4 main rules in which we can try to join the two systems. The first rule is the standard work. In the standard work, the lean production system requires a standard work. It requires SOPs. It requires information to be well written, well detailed, and well explained. The GMP requires the same. But what's the difference between them is the difference in the approach. I mean, the SOP developed by the GMP industry, it's usually developed either by the managers, by the leaders, and they go to the book, they read, for example, a tableting machine, they read the requirements of the tableting machine, so they put the SOP steps, open, close, don't remove, all the information. It's okay. The lean production system requires that the one who develops the SOP should be the operator. Why? Because the operator, he's the one who makes the simple handling for the equipment, and he knows when to do the fixes if there is some small error. At the same time, if the operator is going to develop the SOP, this will be after the implementation, after the operation. The GMP requires that before starting the equipment, you need the SOP. So it's kind of different approach, but both of them, they are working on the standardized procedure, which is existing. So if we are able to obtain the SOP, to maintain the order that says, okay, for example, add, mix, put on, turn off, all the steps, but at the same time, why not to allow the operator to evaluate the SOP and to put his input? And in addition to that, the lean production system requires always to use charts, to use the information that's very clear, to use the pictures, which is not that much in depth in the GMP requirements. So this is the first one. And the second one, there should be some kind of a clear relationship. It should be between the customer and the supplier. As I said, the lean production system is based on the customer demand, and which is different, quite different from the GMP. The GMP requirements is that we need to produce a product, and the product should be of good quality. So we are directed toward the quality rather than the customer. We are not concerned with the benefits, we are not concerned with the profit that comes from the production cycle, and we are not concerned with the cost. But we are concerned, we are keen to have a very good and a very high quality of a product. So this is different approach, and this is different thinking. The lean production system, it doesn't say that you need to neglect or to skip the quality. Yeah, okay. Or to skip the quality, but at the same time, at least take, let's say, or have a look at the cycle, the production cycle. The third one, which is the simple flow. The simple flow, simply the lean production is asking you to have a very simple and consistent flow. I means you will go from step 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will go into consequence rooms. So this room, then you go to the second room, to the third room. The GMP also, it has a flow. And it has mainly, it talks about the flow a lot. It talks about the personal flow, it talks about the material flow, it talks about the product flow, it talks about the waste flow. But they are not concerned that maybe, for example, you can mix in room number 1 and you can go to room number 7 for granulation. You go back to room number 3 for drying, room number 5 for mixing another time, and the tableting will be on the second floor. So the GMP doesn't look about the how is the sequence. In another issue, for example, looking about the simple flow, that in the lean production it says, or in the, let's say, the GMP, that we will granulate 120 kilograms of granules. They will be ready for tableting, and no matter which of those tableting machines is ready, we will work with it. Which of those blistering lines is ready, we will go with it. This doesn't apply with the lean. The lean management says, no, you need to produce, first of all, you don't have to produce 120 kilograms. You need to produce a minimum amount, which is based on the customer requirement. And secondly, you need to know to which tableting machine you are working. So you have to go to tableting machine number 5. Then you have to go to the blistering machine number 7. This is the requirement of the lean, which is not far away from the GMP, but still they need to harmonize in order to obtain the best of the cycle, production cycle. Then if we are able to do that, then you will be able to minimize the cycle time, cycle production time, which is very important. If you go to the pharma industry, it might reach up to 21 days to produce one batch. The second one, which is very important, and I need to stress, is the sampling. The GMP people, when you mix, you need to take a sample. You need to verify that the mix is okay. Then you will go to the second or to the next step. The other way, the lean production says that you didn't need to stop. We need a continuous process. Actually, what joined both of them, it was the PAT initiative. In the PAT initiative, they were able to understand and to digest what's called the continuous process. The fourth one, which is the scientific improvement, in which if we are able to implement more technologies and to implement more initiatives related to the QBD or, for example, the PAT initiative, we will be able to understand and to join both systems, the lean production system, in order to obtain the best of our resources, and the second part, which is to comply with the GMP requirements and the inspection requirements. This is what I like to say, Dr. Paul. So thank you very much.